Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the City of Northampton Board of Health. This meeting is being recorded. And before we actually open the meeting, we do have time for public comment, and we do encourage public comment because there are a number of people here who might be wanting to speak. We'd ask you to limit your comments to 2 minutes. If you feel like you have comments that don't fit in 2 minutes, you are encouraged to write a letter, and you can address that to the Department of Health and Human Services. You can find that on the northamptonma.gov website. If you would like to make a public comment tonight, would you please raise your electronic hand? You'll find that under the reaction button in Zoom. Is there anyone here for public comment? Oh, a lot of visitors, but no public comment. Okay. I'll give it a few more seconds. Is anyone here for public comment? If you'd like to speak at public comment, please raise your electronic hand using the reaction button on your Zoom. Okay, so there's no one here for public comment. Okay, then this is the opening of the Board of Health meeting for Northampton. It's July 10th at 5:37 p.m. And in attendance, we have all our board members, Dr. Cynthia Swopis, Dr. Suzanne Smith, Janet Grant, and myself, Dr. Joanne Levin. And we have staff from the DHHS. Meredith, would you introduce the staff, please?
Absolutely. Meredith O'Leary, Health Commissioner for the DHHS. And then we have Deputy Commissioner Michelle Fari. We have Kelly Constantine, Administrative Assistant. We have Scott Hoiberg, Executive Assistant. I see Kelly Hughes, one of our public health nurses, and I think that's it.
Great, thank you. Would anyone like to make a motion to open the meeting?
I can make a motion to open the meeting, the Northampton Board of Health meeting.
Second.
Great. Any comments or discussion? All in favor? Janet?
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Cynthia? Oh, you can't. You
And
can't hear?
Yes.
Great. Joanne, yes. Great. Thank you. So first we have a visitor tonight. Meredith, could you unmute Laura Romney? Laura Romney is from the International Plant and Herbal Alliance. Welcome, Laura.
Hi, how are you? For some reason, I turned off my video and can't get it back on. It's not allowing me the option. So
Try now, Laura.
Okay, let's see. If I hit this, let's see here. Well, that's okay because you don't need to see me. I don't know why it's not showing up because we're going to do the PowerPoint anyway. But I'm really happy to be here tonight. And I do have one quick question. Are you running the PowerPoint or are we doing a share screen?
Kelly? Are you running the PowerPoint, or should we let Laura share her screen? I do see it looks like there's someone here from who wants to make public comment. I assume that's what Mr. iPhone.
You want to let them make comments, Scott? Do you want to run the PowerPoint?
Sure. Are you talking to me, Laura, or
Laura?
Scott?
And yeah.
Sure.
Let's hold on for 1
Yes.
minute. I see that someone's here. Let's see if this person, someone has a hand up who's called iPhone. Do you want to make public comment?
Hello.
Great. You can unmute yourself. I can hear you. You have 2 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you state your name and
Yes,
your town?
sorry, I was having technical difficulties and you can't see me perhaps. I
Right.
am Dr. Shelley Berkowitz. I am a board. Can you see me by any chance?
No, but that's standard for
All right.
purchase
Okay. I'm Dr. Shelley Berkowitz. I'm a board certified family doctor, lives and practices medicine in Northampton for 30 years. I'm here tonight demanding a ban on the sale of kratom, Mitragynous speciosa in Northampton. The presentation on tonight's agenda by the president of the International Plant and Herbal Alliance promoting plants and herbs improving people's lives is purely coincidental to my presence tonight. I don't have time to present all that I have researched on kratom, a $1.5 billion annual industry. So I respectfully request an invitation to return to this body to complete my comments and follow up on comments to be made this evening by Ms. Romney. I have experience in substance abuse treatment for 15 years in the detox units in VA and Leeds, but I'm here tonight as a mother whose adult son almost died due to kratom purchased legally here in Northampton. I want the sale banned here to prevent other people go through what I'm going through. CD3 2023 data from 37 states claims over 1,100 kratom overdose deaths, very underestimated since it's not tested for. It acts like an opiate. It doesn't respond to Narcan. The American Kratom Association asked for study, not a ban, to preserve its cash cow. The FDA is in shambles, so we need a ban to keep these harms from happening. My son is 32 years old. He grew up here in Northampton, no history of substance abuse. He was a prescribed Ambien for insomnia. He's a very accomplished individual. No time to talk, of course, about it. He began kratom 2 years ago to function when he didn't get enough sleep. He began experiencing increasing depression and suicidality. I witnessed him having a seizure a year and a half ago from kratom purchase here in downtown. On April 4th, he was suicidal. He was admitted to a detox unit for 3 weeks. Then he relapsed after discharge right here in Northampton from shop therapy. He almost lost his job and his girlfriend from the effects of kratom on his executive function. Eli is now day 8, thankfully, off kratom in Canada, where it's banned. And finally, on July 8th, I stopped by Shop Therapy and I looked for myself. I saw the prominently displayed expensive numerous kratom products, various potencies. I wasn't allowed to take pictures. I told my son, he said, quote, kratom extracts with hydroxymitragene are the most dangerous. They're like morphine. He ought to know. He was spending well over $200 a month on that path to ruining his life. He's by no means out of the woods, but I'm a little hopeful. Please ban kratom. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Berkowitz.
You're welcome.
And we did receive your letter. Everyone on the board received your letter.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're back into our board meeting. Laura, thank you for coming. Could you explain, just introduce yourself a little bit what
Sure.
the International Plant and Herbal Alliance is?
Sure, no problem. So, yes, it's a 501c3. I'm actually based out of Utah, and I am a kratom consumer myself for a severe chronic facial nerve condition that I have called trigeminal neuralgia. I've used it for 8 years, and it's allowed me to completely come off of opioids and successfully control my pain. Because of that, I became an advocate and a real supporter of this because it's changed my life and so many I know around me. And so that being said, I just, again, continue to volunteer, and ended up working with this 501c3 as a kratom educator, where I teach localities like yourselves and consumers and others about kratom and the science behind it. So that's a little bit about behind me. I also work closely with the American Kratom Association. I support all of their policies, and they do a great job to regulate and bring awareness to this plant supplement. So
Okay.
I'm going, sorry, what was that?
No, Scott, are you going to run the slides? You ready for slides?
He had to step away.
Laura can share
He
his
said
screen.
he has had to reboot. I saw that come in the chat. So let me try this share and then let's see if it'll work. Hold on one sec. Okay, are you seeing the screen there?
Yes.
That works.
Perfect. Okay. All right, hold on. I'm just going to turn off my camera really fast if I can, so it doesn't just, oh, that's all right. I won't worry about it. You might have to hear me drinking my water here. Hold on one sec. Okay, so again, I'm with Kratom, our International Plant and Herbal Alliance. I have John Schinholzer on the call as well. He will be making a couple of closing comments, as well as Dr. Heidi Sikora. They work closely with me in pushing a lot of this education and helping to create this. So John is with American Veterans for Kratom Safe. Oh, okay. So what exactly is Kratom? I will go through a lot of these slides quickly because I know you have done a lot of research. I was very impressed with your last board meeting where this was brought up and all of the really great research that that was done. But again, I'm just reminding those that are on the call real quickly that Kratom is a tree that's indigenous to Southeast Asia. It's been used for thousands of years. The people in the communities there typically actually take the leaf and chew it, and they're able to get a lot of pain relief and energy, especially for all of the agricultural workers that are working there. Kratom is actually the same botanical species as coffee. So you'll actually see a lot of the same sort of effects that are coming from it. That's where you get things like mood, energy, and also pain relief. So there are 3 different complete strains of Kratom. As you can see on this picture, this is an actual Kratom tree. This is a picture of the powder. It also comes in a capsule format. Also, it is made into extracts. So it's basically from pure plant Kratom, but it's using a more extract or a more concentrated form in a liquid. And so if you see, there's like 3 sort of different shades of green here. This is a red and a green and a white. Typically, the red is used more for pain control. It can cause a little bit of sedation in some people, but not all. The green is often used for mood and energy. And this one is also used, or white is really kind of like pure caffeine is basically what it is. But people can combine them to get the different effects. So Kratom has over 40 different alkaloids. In fact, one of the top researchers, Dr. Christopher McCurdy out of University of Florida, calls it nature's symphony orchestra. And what's so interesting is there are the 2 main alkaloids you'll hear about are mitragynine and 7-hydroxymitragynine, or 7-OH is how I'll call it in this presentation, because we will be talking about that quite a bit. In most situations, it's literally found the 7-OH is in trace amounts in the plant. This is the psychoactive portion of the plant. And again, I emphasize it's in trace amounts. Most often it's less than 1%, but sometimes you'll see a little bit higher. So Kratom is stimulating at lower doses, and higher doses can, cause those relaxing and analgesic effects. I want to emphasize that Kratom is a partial opiate agonist. It is not full opiate agonist, as is like fentanyl or oxycodone or some of the true opioids. That's why it works so well, because it attaches to it partially attaches to that same those same receptors in the body, but it doesn't have the breathing suppression and things like full opioid agonists do. So this study was done by Johns Hopkins University, and it showed who was the typical Kratom user and why. So as you can see on here, women, middle-aged, college-educated. This is interesting. 91% typically use it for pain relief. The majority of the people that I personally know, that's typically why they use it. This is really important because, as you know, with the opiate epidemic in full swing, it's really difficult for people to get pain medication a lot. And they can have a lot of severe pain and are left without any options. So this is why there are people out there looking for alternative medicine like cannabis and Kratom and things to help alleviate that pain. Kratom also is a very good plant to be able to help with mood and anxiety, can help with depression, and it's also an amazing harm reduction tool, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. So, serving sizes vary between individuals. On a properly labeled package, there is a serving size recommendation that's on that package. So again, that would be something that you would always want to make sure that it's properly packaged, showing that. An average dose is anywhere between 1 to 6 grams. Just to give you an idea, 1 teaspoon is about 2.5 grams. And so again, depending on the person's, size, body weight, also, if they have been an opiate consumer for, 10 years, they're going to have a lot more tolerance to just medicines in general. And so, their dose might be a little bit higher than someone who hasn't been on, anything less than more than Tylenol. The beautiful thing about kratom is less is more with kratom. You want to be able to, find the very lowest dose possible that will give you the effects. One thing I have to say is that kratom is not a miracle cure. To say that this takes away pain completely is wrong. And, that's where if you have that mindset going in that you're going to, quote, as they call it, chase the dragon with like anything, more and more energy drinks, more and more coffee, more and more this, that's when you can get into problems. You definitely have to respect this plant. And we often recommend that people take breaks. There's a lot of people, in fact, I know there's a gal on the call today. She used it as a harm reduction tool and is off of harder substances. And she takes 2 or 3 days a break per week and does not take it. And so, that's what we suggest. Kratom is great because it works within about 10 to 15 minutes of your taking it. So it's not something that needs to build up in your system. So you can actually have that relief. And the thing that works the best, I think for me, is that it makes me feel more normal. I loved this particular option for me because I tried cannabis and it made me so altered. I was not able to function at all. A lot of the medications I was on over 30 different medications, not at the same time, but a lot of them had such severe side effects that it made it impossible for me to function. And so kratom was just a miracle for me because for me, I take literally like 3/4 of a teaspoon about 4 times a day, and I'm great. And I can drive, I can function, I can speak, I can work full time. It's truly been miraculous for me. So again, we talked a little bit about the harm reduction perspective, and it will not suppress breathing like traditional opiates. I just want to, make sure you understand that. The great thing about kratom is it can reduce a lot of the withdrawal symptoms coming off of harder substances. So people that are trying to come off of, let's say, an opiate addiction can transition to kratom. I know a person who was in rehab for 3 different times. She was a young girl and just had failed each time. And she found kratom and she is now 8 years sober from any of those she was actually on heroin and able to transition to this and just takes it a couple times a day. And it's really been amazing for her. Again, it's a respected thing. You certainly don't want to combine kratom with, a lot of different substances. And, again, dependency can occur if you continue to keep pushing and pushing your dose. But in typical withdrawal fashion, I just spoke to an individual just a couple of weeks ago. He had actually been an opiate addict in the past and had not been on anything for a long time and decided to just give kratom a try for anxiety. He was on it for about, a couple of months and just said, I don't need it. I'm not gonna take it anymore, and went cold turkey. And I said, well, tell me, what was your experience? And he said, I felt a little, restless legs, a little fluish for about 2 or 3 days. And he said it was done. And he said it was nothing compared to the withdrawals that he had experienced with heroin. He said, like heroin and the other drugs he was on, he says, I didn't sleep for 17 straight days. So he said, it's absolutely was very mild in conjunction with many of the withdrawals coming from other substances. What I definitely want to talk to you today most off is these synthetic products called 7-OH. These products are not kratom. This is one thing that a lot of people and a lot of communities do not understand because they are not actually, in the know about some of these products. If you look at this picture right here, you can see a picture of some of these synthetic products. They look like they're mainly in tablet forms. There are other, in fact, the next slide, I'll show you some other versions that I found online. And these are synthetic products. They are not kratom. Someone has taken, a chemist has taken and figured out a way to recreate in the lab this 7-OH. And they put it in these products in extremely high amounts. These products are 14 to 22 times greater than morphine in their binding affinity. There has been initial scientific studies on them. There was a recent rat study done that showed, this was by Dr. Christopher McCurdy in Florida, and he found that yes, it can cause respiratory depression. So in many of these situations where there are troubles, where you're reading in the news of people that, again, no disrespect, and I don't know what the lady who spoke son was on, but each one of these pills cost about $10 per pill. And people can get, when they take these synthetic pills, they can quickly gain dependence on them. They are full mu opioid agonists, which means they fully bind to those receptors. So they're extremely addictive. And people do end up spending a lot of money on these products in a quick amount of time because they become dependent on them. As you can see, a lot of them have names that are allude to narcotics. You see, Oxy, there's some called Opia, 7-ohms. There's, again, they really lead the consumer to think that they are, quote, purchasing some type of narcotic. The scary thing is in an unregulated state or city, these products, there is nothing that will stop these products from being sold. So at this point, I haven't gone, of course, into one of your smoke shops or convenience stores, but at this point, there's no regulation pulling these behind the shelves and selling them. I would hope they would be sold to adults only at this point. But again, this is the real crisis that's going on in this. It's not the simple powdered kratom. It's these tablets, these 7-OH products. Down here, you can see some of the extracts. Those are actual made with plant. They are, again, must be respected, but they're like, they'd be taking like a 5-hour energy drink versus, a big thing of caffeine or a big thing of coffee. So, they are extracts, but they are made with pure plant. These are not. These are synthetic. So here's another picture of just some of these. I looked online, just searched to see these products, and you can see it's scary. Some of these are, obviously very appealing to children, and they're come in a variety of packages, but these are not kratom. These are fully synthetic. So there needs to be a determination between the two. So some of the key kratom science we talked about: respiratory depression. The next slide, I will talk to you about this FDA study that went on. But I want to, show you that kratom does not cause a rewarding effect in the animal studies. I can put you in with a lot of these actual studies from, again, Johns Hopkins University and University of Florida that have a lot of these. There's millions of users in the United States and even throughout the world, and there really are rare reports of physical harm from kratom alone. So this is the ascending dose study I spoke to you about. So the FDA wanted to determine if they could do it's called a human abuse potential study. But in order for them to do that, they have to do what they call an ascending dose study. This was done in 2024. This is so that they want to make sure they didn't want to give this substance to individuals and have them get sick. And so they want to make sure that they can do a more detailed study. So they gave 40 different participants, including placebo. They gave them 24 grams of kratom, which is 24 capsules in a 5-minute period of time. And in that period of time, the only side effect they saw was some nausea in some of the participants. And that actually was with the placebo group as well, because you can imagine taking 24 pills of anything would probably make you sick. But because of that, it passed their test as far as safety to be able to pursue the human abuse potential study, which will be coming in the future. But they did prove, their own study proved that this is a safe, in these conditions. One thing I want to point out is that typically a lot of people will quote the Mayo Clinic as stating, oh, the Mayo Clinic has shown that kratom is dangerous and it will suppress breathing and seizures and all of these things. But interestingly enough, Mayo Clinic has never conducted one single study on kratom, not one. But yet they tend to be an echo chamber for the FDA, which is interesting because the FDA now has done their own study, but still continued, and they don't update their website and don't update their information with, to coincide with what they have found. Well, on the other hand, Johns Hopkins University and University of Florida are really championing the research. NIDA is another division that has put in a lot of money into the study of kratom because they see the incredible potential for for harm reduction. So the FDA has a real bias against these natural products. American Kratom Association recognizes the fact that we need to have good regulations in place, and they have reported many of the bad actors that have been putting health claims and all of these things on the products, and not one has been investigated at this point. Back in 2016, this is interesting to know, the FDA turned kratom over to the DEA for scheduling and said, we need you to schedule this drug. So the DEA went ahead and studied that. They came back, they did what they call an 8-factor analysis, which there's 8 factors that determine whether or not they can schedule a substance. And in 2018, the Health and Human Secretary, Brett Giroir, withdrew formally the FDA's scheduling recommendation. And he said, citing disappointingly poor evidence and data and failure to consider the overall public health. And this is the first time in history that the DEA has withdrawn a scheduling request. So that's a very interesting thing. So just to understand, correlation does not simply imply causation. I put this slide in here because it's so cute. It always makes me chuckle. So many studies that you are going to see are based on biased things. A lot of these studies, so for instance, as was explained, they'll say, oh, well, this can cause seizures or this can cause liver damage. So there is numerous studies out there where people have actually listed these sources saying, oh, it causes seizures and this and that. And they'll always go and they'll put at the very bottom a little note that says, this is the source. So what's interesting is if you go into the actual studies, you'll see that in every situation, it's like a case study of one person that had seizures, and they'll say, oh, this person has been epileptic, or they'll say, oh, this is causing liver damage. And the 2 people that are being pushed, that are being looked at in the study, like one person has hepatitis, the other person has been a vodka drinker for 7 years. So they're gleaning all of this, quote, scare tactic information off of literally a few of these case studies, but yet they are citing them as definitive proof that this is a dangerous substance. And a lot of, again, pre-existing conditions are often disregarded. So again, I just want to encourage you to, when you evaluate your research, don't just simply do a Google search. Read Wikipedia and even listen to a personal story. You just really need to dig in to look at the source in general, to know how reputable that source is, and is it really encompassing the whole big picture of what kratom is about. So you're often going to hear stories now, they're popping up more and more about these deaths that are attributed to kratom. But what's interesting is in almost every situation, the full toxicology report is never released. They typically will say that the death has been, attributed to mitragynine toxicity. But what's interesting is they don't necessarily share, oh, well, there's probably drug use, there's this, there's that, or even pre-existing conditions that are going on. In fact, there have been some situations where they found that only mitragynine was attested for, because when the person was found dead in their house, in their room, they had like a couple of kratom pills. So because the kratom pill was found in the room, they assume, oh, well, that's what it was. And, and so again, you have to understand this. One thing I do want to bring up is that 7-OH, we just talked about that, is actually a very unstable substance, an alkaloid, and it quickly leaves the body. So what happens is if you do not test the blood quickly after a death, what will show up in the blood work is mitragynine and not necessarily 7-OH. So a lot of these kratom deaths that are happening are attributed to 7-OH products, which again, if there is high concentrations of mitragynine in the blood, in many situations, it is because number one, the person has ingested 7-OH, or number two, they're extreme abusers, which may have, ingested tons and tons of extracts over a long period of time. So I'm almost finished, I promise. So this is just a map of the kratom legislation, or the current legality in throughout the country. You can see the little, the different colors depending on where each state is. You can study this in the past or when you're finished with this. But I want to, emphasize the fact that the American Kratom Association and the International Plant and Herbal Alliance are really pushing for this Kratom Consumer Protection Act. I am from Utah, and we were the very first state to pass this particular this act. Now, it's also possible to pass this in your community, so you don't have to necessarily wait for the state to do this. The American Kratom Association has got a local ordinance that can be passed as well, and it kind of mirrors the state in this respect. So this is just a quick breakdown of it. It obviously, you can set an age restriction. Some states set it at 18, others 21. It requires that good manufacturing practices are put in place. So if I walk into and lab testing and proper labeling, those all get clumped in. So if I walk in and I go buy kratom off of the shelf or an extract, I can look on the back and say, okay, yes, look, it's a reputable company. It shows the serving size. It shows exactly what is in the product. It has all of the labeling that the FDA requires for all supplements. As you know, supplements are not FDA approved, but it does have things like health claims that are not allowed to be made, but all of those have to be on the packaging. So that's what I should be able to do when I walk into one of your stores, so I can feel safe that what I'm ingesting is pure kratom and not synthetic. The other thing that is in the KCPA is limitations on the concentrating or synthesizing. So what this does is it puts a cap on the 7-OH quantity, or some of these other alkaloids. There's novel substances that are coming out every day. There's a new one called pseudoindoxil, another synthetic product. And so what this does is it puts a cap on this. So if I walk in, those synthetic products I showed you, those would not be legal because they have a 7-OH content that is higher than the 2% cap. So in Utah, if I go into any of my smoke shops or convenience stores, a child can't buy it. And I definitely have to make sure that, everything is in good. And there is no 7-OH anywhere in Utah, unless it's, of course, black market. But it's not found anywhere. So this is what we're trying to push in all the states, including Massachusetts. But some of the, cities are saying we're not going to wait for the state. And we're going to put this in place so that, everything in our community is, is compliant with these good regulations. But in closing, here's some information you can look later. But I just want to thank you for letting me present tonight. And if you wouldn't mind, if you would unmute John Schinholzer and then Heidi Sikora, Dr. Heidi Sikora. They just have a real quick wrap up, 1 or 2 minutes from them, and then you can ask any questions.
Thank you. Could you stop sharing so that we can see everybody?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. I don't see Heidi Sikora.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Heidi, you can unmute.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. All right, great. Well, I hope that the physician that spoke earlier is still on the call. I think that this is very important and timely. The main issue that we're having is with the synthetics. And so we're really on the same side of this. If somebody is spending several $100s and they think they're buying kratom, they're not buying kratom. Kratom is just this natural plant powder. It's quite inexpensive. A kilo of it, may cost $100. That would last, a very long time. So I think the distinction is really important. The issue with not doing any regulation and just banning outright is the harms that come to the community because of that. I think that the physician that spoke earlier understands that there's a big difference between treating acute pain and chronic pain. And when you have rare neurological conditions like I do, like Laura does, and you need something for pain on a daily basis, the risk that you take by even the over-the-counter Tylenol, NSAIDs, ibuprofen, is too great. And so there needs to be an alternative. Since the opioid guidelines and the cutback in opioids, then there's been a lack of access for people who have chronic pain. And so there's millions of people who have found safe natural kratom as a remedy. And so that's all. There's a big difference between the 7-0, and it sounds like that's what the physician's son took, was the 7-0H. That's not kratom. So we need to be clear about that. And I think I will stop there and have John really talk about the addiction issues and the benefits for people who are struggling with addiction.
Thank you. I don't see John unless you're the one with the phone number. Oh, there you are. You can unmute. Go ahead. And if you can wrap up, that would be great.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm a recovering addict, okay? I've been clean and sober. Next month will be 43 years. I got clean in between my second, third deployment with the 1st Battalion, 3rd Marine. Plus, I ran a recovery center for 20 years, and I've been in this space my entire recovery. I'm just a real life thing that just happened the other day. This kid I was working with last Saturday, they found him dead in his vehicle in front of a vape store. And the last product he purchased was a 7-0H tablet. Now, he had been drinking, he had been doing cocaine and smoking weed, and we don't know the cause of death yet because it just happened last week. But the powder kratom product that so many people rely on, that's not the culprit here. To be very clear, it's these pirated, terrible, adulterated products that have flooded our vape stores nationwide. So, and Heidi hit the nail on the head. You will not find one, I have not found one addict. I mean, you got to understand addiction and what addiction really is versus dependence versus abuse versus binge drinking. There's a big difference for all these. You can't find one addict. I've never seen one out of the tens of thousands that came through my recovery center in the last 20 years that was addicted to the powder product. I've seen quite a few with the liquids and the adulterated products. So here we are. We have a product, a valuable product that millions of Americans rely on for their quality of life. Now, combine that with, I've seen so many addicts on a Friday night in my Narcotics Anonymous meeting. They're jonesing, and don't go get fentanyl. They go down to the mini mart, they get some kratom, it holds them over because it acts as a partial agonist. And then many of these people, we get them in front of Suboxone doctors later on. So as a segue and a tool, if you can flip from a 1 pill kills to a kratom product, that is simply a win. Now, all these studies that Johns Hopkins currently doing in these other universities, they are seeing that many, many people addicted to more harmful substances, they're pivoting to, benign products such as kratom. And I know time is short, and I really don't have time to get into all the wonderful evidence. But if you do a deep dive like I've done, I've studied kratom for over 10 years, critical studying of this product. And it's just, I mean, the pluses they're just tremendous. But I don't blame this mother for her son being, on kratom, but you got to understand it's not the powder kratom. It's not the valuable kratom. It's the bad product that we are trying to get off of the shelf. We wrote Congress letters after letter, the FDA letter after letter, calling out all these bad products, but they want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They want to just eliminate all these products. I think there's a little, nobody likes anybody to treat themselves. They want them to go to a doctor or get a pharmaceutical. So we got a, freedom of liberties here problem playing out too, but that's a different story.
Thank you.
Yeah, but please, any questions? I'm open for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Board members, would you like to ask questions?
And
Laura,
real quickly, I do have an advocate on the line that is a vendor, local vendor and advocate that's in the Massachusetts area. It's Jen, in case you have a specific question about someone local. I just want to let you know that she is on the call as well, should you need to ask any questions there.
Well, we've invited you as a guest, and we
Yes.
invited people to speak for public comment. So we're going to rest with that.
Perfect.
Board members, anybody from our department have questions for this team?
I have a quick question. I think Scott sent us, and this is more, I think, to the department than to the guest speakers, but we got a draft kratom bill from April 2024, and I'm wondering what the status is on that.
So there's been numerous
Hey.
bills in the legislature. There's been ban bills, there's been age restrictions. I would have to look up the number of bills that was introduced.
This is for Massachusetts.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
From the state. But I'm saying in each of these states, like I think I should look up Massachusetts, but in many of these states, there's 3 and 4, sometimes 5 bills that are introduced as the session goes on. And then of course, as they progress, a lot of them either die or sometimes they will pass the age restriction or whatever. So if the session has ended and that bill, what had happened is that bill is probably tabled or it died. And I know we are working closely. I know there's the American Kratom Association is working with trying to get more sponsors and introducing those bills back into the state. And sharing the knowledge that I've shared today to get those restrictions in place, because that's really the key. I say you as a city shouldn't have to be the ones that do this for your community. It should be on a state level. But yet I also think if it were my community, knowing what I know about these products, even if it's just my own community, I would pass a local. Just to, again, even in the minimum would be to get, an age restriction in place.
So I don't know if you saw an email from today. Is it today, Scott, that you sent out some other bills? It looks like one in the House and one in the Senate, and one was a proposal for a ban, and the other one was a proposal for, very specific regulations. So it seems like it's all over the map.
Rhode Island just lifted their ban this year.
Yeah, just barely.
So I'd like to have this discussion among the board members, please.
Yeah.
Unless someone asks you a specific question. Thank you. Cynthia.
I was interested in this good manufacturing practices. And Laura, you mentioned going into a store and looking at kratom and making sure it's been produced by a reputable company. So is there a list of reputable companies, and who oversees those reputable companies, and how do they get to be one of those?
Oh, well,
There we go.
unmute you.
Yes, certainly. So there are a lot of good vendors out there. One particular place that a person can go is to the American Kratom Association website. They have a GMP program that they actually have where they qualify people to, they're saying, hey, we do it all right. They check their facilities, they make sure it's all right. But that doesn't mean that they're the only ones that are reputable. There are reputable companies out there that are selling that are, not on that specific list. But yes, I mean, you just want to make sure that everything is fully labeled. I can easily send you a picture. I don't have it in front of me right now, but a picture of, a properly labeled product. I have one in my shelf in there, so you can see where it shows the contents, the quantity of 7-OH. It shows all of the, things like that's what you really want to see.
And then
Cynthia, did you
just,
have a follow-up? Yeah.
yeah, thanks, Joanne, but we can move to someone else if in the interest of time.
Suzanne?
No, go ahead, Cynthia. Finish up your thought.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Would it be accurate for me to say that you are saying that as long as a user uses Kratom
Mhm.
without any other substance, Kratom is safe?
Well, yeah, yes, absolutely. I can confidently say that. I mean, now that being said, you never know. Someone could have some underlying health condition or an allergy or something like that. I mean, no one, you can't say definitively that, anything is going to be safe. But yes, in general, absolutely. I mean, I'm living proof along with, again, just look at all the people in Indonesia that have used it for 1,000 years. I mean, those products, yes, I can confidently say that in most situation it is safe, especially the powdered kratom and even the extracts. I mean, as long as you see that the labeling on there, and if it says to you, oh, take this, one little extract has 4 serving sizes in it, and you're not drinking 4 bottles of that a day, then you're going to be fine.
Thank you.
Suzanne?
Thank you. I have a couple questions. First, are both kratom and synthetic kratom available online?
Yes, they are. So I typically purchase my kratom online because it's a lot more inexpensive. The smoke shop and the convenience store kratom is very expensive, and I tend to find the vendors that I know and trust, and I order them for, again, a fraction of the cost. Yes, 7-OH. Now for me, I live in Utah. So if I were to go and try to order 7-OH, they would not mail it to me unless it was a shady dealer, because it's illegal in the state of Utah. And in fact, that goes with kratom as well. If you are living in Arkansas and you go to buy from a vendor and they're a real reputable vendor, not black markety, they will not ship a product into Arkansas. So that's how that works that way.
Okay, that opens all kinds of concerns about who's a shady dealer. How do you recognize that? Verifying age purchases, a whole range of issues.
Well, that would be.
My intent is not to debate.
Oh, no. I totally get you.
Yeah.
But that could be anything. I mean, again, let's say I were to go order valerian root, for sleep. If I ordered it from, who knows? I mean, I could not find it from some place on eBay that looked, whatever, and they could have had some other substance in there, or it had heavy metals or whatever. I mean, it's buyer beware. You always have to make sure. I certainly wouldn't go to any store and purchase something off of a shelf that was in a baggie that wasn't labeled.
But you're an informed consumer, and that's the point, is that most people are not informed consumers about this, and so that's a concern.
So you're saying that I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So you're concerned that someone would order something from someone online that's like kind of a shady. Typically,
Yeah.
you're not going. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that there's no way to tell. You know by reputation, you're involved in this
Oh,
field,
no,
you're
yeah.
well informed, but most people are not.
Okay, so this is what they would do. Correct, but again, it's so every reputable place I know, they actually have on their website a place where you can click to see their laboratory testing results. Of course, if you want to call them, they should be able to present every single laboratory testing. So there is obviously you can tell by doing that. Now, that being said, there was a story that was just done in another state that I picked apart online because it was again one of these, oh no, all this stuff. I looked at the news story and I blew up the picture of the things that were being sold, and it was like scary. I mean, you could definitely tell on that packaging this was not a legit company. And I looked online, I couldn't even find an online presence from it. Now, this is in again, an unregulated state. And this is what you're trying to prevent, is this is what you do not want in your state or your city.
I would be delighted if you could forward to us all of the references that you're aware of that have, whether you consider them biased or whether you consider
Sure.
them quality science. That would be extremely helpful to
Yeah, so
inform
like
us,
a
because
collection of science.
I understand your perspective. But
Sure.
I'd be really interested in knowing what people who are doing research in this area
Oh,
are
do you
aware,
know what?
because I know that NIDA has been, who knows what's funded now,
Right.
I'll say had been funding some work in Kratom, but I'd like to know who is published and where.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. In fact, I just spoke just this past week with Dr. Kirsten Smith. She's the head researcher at Johns Hopkins University. She's over the whole Kratom research department. And she literally just this week gave me a Google access to a drive that's this whole entire thing of all the published studies that she's got. So I can send that to you today.
That'd be great. That would be extremely helpful.
That's great.
My third point or question is, I think we can all agree that there's significant danger in synthetics.
Yes.
How do you suggest that it be regulated that synthetics are banned, but Kratom, the plant, is not? Who's going to verify that? Who's going to determine that?
So do you have anybody in your vicinity that who enforces your tobacco and your alcohol, that goes in and inspects to make sure your alcohol or your vape shops aren't selling something illicit? Say, let's say you have an illicit product or something that's banned. I'm not sure exactly what all is illicit. I don't know if Delta 8 or synthetic hemp or,
We have inspectors. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what they would have to do is they would have to walk in that store. You remember the picture that I showed you of all the products. They would literally have to walk in and look at the products. And I mean, it's super easy for most of these synthetics. You can pick them out like that. You'd have to flip the package over and see. Most of them say right on the package, 7-hydroxymetrogenine, 7-OH. They're really easy to find.
But they're self-defined. They're self-defined by the manufacturer.
Yes, 100%. Yes, correct. The one thing that Utah has done that's unique, and I would love to see this in all the other states, is they have a registration in order to be able to sell Kratom at any of the stores. You actually have to register your product first. So if you actually go to the Department of Agriculture site in Utah, you have a list of every single manufacturer. So let's say it's MIT 45. They would go ahead and MIT 45 would say, okay, these are the products that I'm going to sell, and they verify, the state verifies that yes, these are good products and that they're able to, they meet all the guidelines. Then those specific products are legal. And so that way it's super easy for any inspector to come in and say, oh, here's MIT 45, here are the products that, they are approved to sell, and there it is. So there's easy ways to do this that really are not super expensive, not a high ticket, budget item for the state, but it would
I think
not
you
be a
and I
hard
have a
thing.
different opinion about what's easy.
I know.
And I would just point out that there are enormous infrastructures available to assess and regulate both alcohol and tobacco. So we're really talking about two very different types of
correct.
Of oversight, at least.
I'm just curious, like, how big is, because I'm not 100% familiar.
Excuse me. We need to move on.
Oh, sure. No problem. That's
Meredith,
great.
you had a question? Oh, you're muted.
Suzanne, asked the question that I was thinking about, as an inspector, boots on the ground. I have a bunch of products in front of me.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And I mean, I honestly, this doesn't even tell me what a serving size is, but I'm thinking this might be just product. Can you see it? Just the
Yes,
product.
I can. Is that a Remarkable Herbs? I
Yes,
think-
that's Remarkable
Yes,
Herbs.
yes, yes.
But it doesn't give dosage, and this to me looks like it would be just the kratom leaf powder that
Yeah.
you were speaking of.
Correct, correct. And that's where, yes, Remarkable Herbs, I know that is one that's sold in it's a very reputable company. Again, I don't have that particular package in front of me. I would have to
But
look
then
at
I have an
every-
Enjoy kratom bottle, which you probably cannot see right now.
Okay,
You said it's so easy to, to be able to delineate
Sure.
what's synthetic and what's not. And, I mean, it's a font size of one, maybe, all of
Yeah.
this on here, the ingredients,
Right.
it's the marketing is elusive. It leads you to believe that this is just the natural plant in here.
Okay,
I don't know, as inspectors,
sure,
if we're not the subject matter experts in synthetic mind altering substances versus the natural ones.
right.
I'd hate to put that onus on my inspectors, but yet want to get all of these products off the shelves because
Right.
I know they're doing harm to the public.
Right. Did you see any 7OH products when you were in there, like tablets, like I had shown?
Oh
in that
yeah,
video?
oh yeah, I have them in front of me. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Do you look on the back of the package? Do you see how it says the percentage of metrogynine that's on
Yeah.
there? I'm sorry, 7OH that's on there?
Yep. Yep.
See.
10 milligrams per, 20. This is an
Exactly.
80
So
milligrams.
that's so again,
Totally
that's
concerning. Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm just, even the stuff that you're saying is authentic and good, really, I mean, there's no dosage on here and
Sure.
how many servings,
Sure.
like it's a little confusing even with the stuff that.
Yeah, you know what, let me get back. Let me talk to the American Kratom Association about the dosing size, and let me find out how, because honestly, that's a very good question. Let me find out how they're, exactly how those requirements are. They could say, again, I'm not sure. They could say, oh, that has to be online. Again, I'm just making this, I don't know. But let me ask them about the serving size situation. Because you're right, especially like on some of these, I mean, obviously like your little extracts, I've seen them and they do have serving sizes on there, especially when it's, when there's a specific thing, they don't want you taking an entire bottle. They're going to put a serving size, especially on extracts. So, but let me find that out a little bit more. I'll get back to you on that to find out how they're recommending that. That's a great question though.
Michelle?
I just have really, concerns about these products being in permitted licensed stores and the general public thinking that they're safe because they're in these stores. I think that's my overarching concern. So.
Could I add on to that with my comment, which is thank you for your presentations tonight for all the presenters. I'm coming to this with the question and perspective around detoxification and treatment for substance use or opioid addiction. And the DHHS in Northampton happens to run and facilitate multiple programs for people using harm reduction frameworks and really embrace the concept of harm reduction as well as alternative methods for treatment for substance use. However, we have run across over the past several years, and it's only increased to the point now these products are available over the counter, that there's a false perception that kratom can be used as a substitute for Suboxone, methadone, or for the oversight of a provider relating to substance use. And the variety, as we've all been hearing about, of the authentic versus the type versus the presence of other contaminants or potential causation to have side interactions with other medications people could be on for behavioral health, mental health, and physical. Sorry, my dog is dreaming and having some cries.
It's okay.
But I really feel that there's this false perception that you can substitute use of heroin or use of opioids with kratom and or be able to detox. And we've seen people have overdoses that have had Suboxone prescribed to them and trying to use and detox and using too soon and opioids on board. And I appreciate that this is a meaningful substitute for chronic pain. I want to name that because there is not. And the over aggressive pursuit of reducing prescribing of opioids has left people with chronic health and pain conditions, or people who are still afraid of the stigma of substance use, even to receive care, that they would turn to a product such as this. But I'm really concerned about the false perception that it can be used as a detox product. It can be used as in addition to other substances, and the implications of people's lives on the line, as you know, the first person that commented tonight. So I'm curious to know, is this something that the National Kratom Association endorses as a use for substitute for detoxification? Is there guidelines, specifications? I mean, this is an emerging field, addiction treatment therapy.
Right.
So I'd like to know where that stands, because I'm very uncomfortable with that.
Sure. Can I have John answer that? He's the guy. He's the pro on that one. So if you can unmute him.
That would be up to the chair.
Sure. It's not letting me unmute you. You want to try to?
There.
I think I got it. Is that done?
Yeah.
Okay. Nora Volkov, the director of the National Institute of Drug Abuse, has invested $100 million so far in the last 10 years in this very subject matter. She unapologetic made it clear, testified to Congress that kratom is the fastest rising great hope tool they do have.
I actually watched that presentation, so I'm
okay. Absolutely, yes, but they're still sort of building the ship as they're floating it right now. So the direction's going in a wonderful, positive way. We're making great strides on how to drill down on the specifics. But yes, to your question, it's legit and it's promising. And if we start banning it everywhere, then they're going to treat it like they did cannabis 50 years ago. And we're going to lose all this great scientific development. So a lot of moving parts here. And I'll be happy to come up to your town next week and spend a couple hours with somebody drilling down on all the good answers to all these questions y'all are asking, because I'm over here chomping, man.
If I can have one follow-up comment, is that I feel that it's very critical and important to embrace something such as this product, but I feel that there needs to be very, very clear and, you know, very, very concise information on the safety and the use of this product that I would feel very uncomfortable, while it is an emerging science, to embrace or endorse it in such a way for people to self-prescribe. So I would advocate that if the National Kratom Association is speaking to these, you know, uses of kratom and chronic pain, that it is also speaking to the risks and speaking to the lack of regulation, that a false perception of what's safe kratom and what's not in dosages, as the Commissioner mentioned, could have life-altering consequences to someone. So thank you for your presentation, though.
Thank you. Very good comments. Appreciate that.
Janet, did you have another question?
Well, I'm on, right? I guess more, I just want a little bit of clarification, something you said, Laura, in terms of Utah, given your regulations. So you can buy it online and it's mailed to you because you
Correct.
buy the kind that falls within the regulation as being okay. But should you want to purchase one of the things that Meredith just showed that maybe has the 70H, that they shouldn't be mailing it to you, and that's actually what happens for the most part?
It's not allowed to do that. If they're found that they are, you know, shipping to a particular legal, these companies are not going to risk it, because if they get caught, you know, shipping to products, I've seen them all the time. People are like, no, I'm sorry. I mean, as much as I'd love to, in fact, you know, they just won't. And so I'm not, I mean, you could probably, illicitly get fentanyl in the mail.
Yeah,
if you-
yeah, no, I
I
just
mean,
wanted
so
clarification on that.
correct. Yeah, no,
And,
but that's,
yeah.
I could not myself could not order 7OH and have it delivered to my house here in
Okay.
Utah.
Yeah, my other comment is just, and I really appreciate everything Michelle brought up, and John, but, in terms of what's happening at NIDA, I just think we also now need to, just keep in mind that a lot of that could like disappear tomorrow,
Right.
in terms of their funding, and, that we really need to think what we're gonna do here in Massachusetts, and if there's a way.
Well, and honestly, I encourage you. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, we would love, a board like you to get, in touch with local, or with the state legislators and say, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
Let's get the right program in place. I know it can be done because it's being done here in Utah, and I know it's got, and several other states are doing it as well. But it's, right now there's 18 states that have passed the KCPA, and we've had several that have passed this year. And but they all have their different programs and their different, how they've tweaked their laws. Georgia's a little bit different, and they all have their little things with them. But it absolutely is, it can be done. And again, just like it's been brought up, we're living in a society that, there's a lot of messed up things between, like I say, pain patients that can't get their pain meds, even down to, the rate of addiction is just, it's astonishing. I mean, there's a Facebook group that I'm on that's lost souls of fentanyl or something. There's like 36,000 people on that site that have lost. It's just terrible. And so, if there is a hope, I mean, I look at that friend I told you that this gal, I know her, she's now 38 years old, and she's got 2 kids, and she's just living life. She's like, it's changed my life. And her mom just breaks out in tears and said, if she didn't have this, I wouldn't have her. So I know there's, you don't I'm using John's, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. He always says that. But, don't just because there's a little bit of unknown, don't go ahead and ban something that's going to take it away as a lifeline for so many that can use this. Because, again, like myself, I can't even imagine what would happen to me if I lost access to this. I mean, but I have a different life now than I did 8 years ago.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. So, given that the companies that make these products are not overseen by the FDA, the DEA, the CDC, how do we know that what's written on the label is actually what's in the package?
Well, I guess that could be anywhere. I mean, you certainly would have to have a reputable, I mean, that fraud goes around out there, but I mean, I think you'd have to trust what's on the packaging. Someone's not going to go, I mean, that's a good question, but I guess can you trust anything? And you would certainly hope to. I would hope that when I go buy fish oil at the grocery store, that I'm really getting fish oil. I mean, there comes a point when you have to trust who, you're purchasing your products from. Heidi
I
said,
have
do you,
another question. So since the law permitting regulated kratom went into effect in Utah, do you know when that was?
oh gosh, now you got me now.
Like years ago or?
Oh no, I can look it up really quickly because I think it was back in 2018. Let me check. Hold
No,
on.
it's been several years, you think?
Yes.
And are there any statistics about overdose deaths before and after the passage of that law?
Good question. I will find that out.
And as a city, we have very limited resources, and we can
Sure.
say we want you to follow the manufacturer to write the dosing and to have the contents and all that kind of stuff. But we don't have the capacity to do testing.
Sure.
Does Utah, the state of Utah, test every product?
No, they have to prove through, so that whoever the vendor is would have to prove that they have their product tested by a third party laboratory testing to make sure it's sent out. Like Jen Mercier, I know she's on the line here. She's the vendor that's outside. She could tell you exactly what she goes through to be able to get her products so that she can manufacture them and produce them and, you know, prove that, you know, that testing. But it is third-party testing that's required.
So it's not a particular third party. Everyone can go find their own third party to do
I don't know
this.
how many third parties are out there. Again, Jen would be the one that could answer that question. She would be the pro on that particular subject. And I know even if there's not time here today, she'd be happy to, you know, I'm sure email you some of those answers to those questions.
Heidi, do you have a quick comment? Heidi? I'm
Let
trying
me
to
see who
unmute.
I think maybe I can hit view. Okay, no, that's not it. Oh, here we
Meredith,
go.
can you unmute Heidi? I can't.
Did she do it?
There you
Okay,
go.
can you
Heidi.
hear me? Okay,
So, real quick, please.
yeah, of course. So as far as verifying the safety of that product, they do send it out to a third-party lab, and those results are available online or by request. So that ensures that what is in that product is what the lab testing shows, and any reputable vendor does not release that until they have those test results back. The other thing that I did want to address is about the concern about serving size. We have to remember that we are talking and we really advocate for natural powder kratom. There is a safety mechanism to that plant that if somebody takes too much, it will cause vomiting. And so that's a very important element of that. The other thing is there has never been a kratom only powder natural plant death that has been proven. As Laura said before, the deaths that have occurred, there's always other substances or underlying conditions, etc. So if we spent more time educating and and doing the proper regulation, that would be absolutely wonderful. Instead of trying to split hairs about, the other products that do not meet the actual natural product, what the FDA supports as natural products. So that's about all I had to say.
Just one clarification, where would the results of testing be found, on the company website or on the Utah Department of Agriculture website?
Typically the company, but you know, that's a good question. Utah might, again, every batch is tested. So for instance, when they have, before it's processed, like Heidi said, they actually, you know, before they release it, they will have that. So, you know, a different batch is going to have different lab tests. So those are constantly evolving. So of course they're not going to, you know, I guess that some companies would have every single lab test put on there, but I have some kratom that actually has a batch number and everything on there, so I could actually trace it back. So I love companies that really, you know, show all of that information on there. But yeah, I'm not, that's a good question. I can find out if Utah does that. But again, they would probably prove that they do lab tests, but for them to prove every single batch is probably not, Utah's not going to keep track of that.
Okay, board members or DHS staff, anybody have more questions for our visitors? Thank you
Great.
so much. That was really,
Thank
really
you. I just want to say, I'm just so grateful that you are willing to take the time to learn about this, because there are a lot of localities that, you know, really give it 3 minutes and won't even read an email. So I just really, truly appreciate your willingness to learn about this and to ask the hard questions. But I will be getting that information to you, and feel free again to reach out to me. And if you do want to ask specific questions to that one vendor, she's the, you know, again, she's the pro on that. I can give you her email information as well, and she can give you her processes, how that works.
We look forward to all that information.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm just going to mute you, and John, you're muted. Heidi, you're muted. So just board members and DHHS staff, thoughts about what other information you want or what our next steps might be.
Seems to me we just requested a lot of additional information. So I'd like to see what's available in what we've just requested.
Okay. So Laura and Heidi were going to send us some things. Anybody else? Any other thoughts about, I'd like to look on the Department of Agriculture, State of Utah website and see what information they have. And maybe, I did look on the Utah Department of Ag. I did look at the American Kratom Association website, and they have over 50 products that they said conform to their good manufacturing products. And at the same time, they have a disclaimer at the bottom that says the American Kratom Association does not endorse any of these products. So that was interesting. Any other?
Well, I mean, I guess I know Scott sent us today the status of some of the bills and everything. Clearly, I guess I'd feel more comfortable if this was a decision at the state level. And so, I don't know who, if there's somebody at the state level, somebody from DPH or something who could come to a meeting and talk about the status of some of these bills or where DPH is standing on any of it. But I guess that's one of the thoughts going through my head is, what about the state?
Janet, my understanding is that the bills are currently in the Committee for Public Health.
And that's run by Joe Comerford. So that's headed by Joe Comerford.
Is it still though, Joanne?
Oh, I don't know.
I thought she had a new appointment, but I think we always wish the state would do our work, but it doesn't. And so there's that, yeah. And I mean, it's great to track it down, but if there's a solid advocate, then this is something that would go, certainly rise to the top. I think just in reflection, I really want to defer to Suzanne and Joanne on some of these knotty research issues, but it also points to there's a lot of stuff being sold out there. The stuff that Meredith, you showed, and we have another policy about cannabinoids and synthetics. And so we somehow have got to get a handle on this. And maybe that's a broader conversation as opposed to picking one off at a time. But I'd hate to delay any action. But I think we have a little more work to do. But it's troublesome. It's really troublesome for what's being sold, the gas station weed stuff and
where it's being sold. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Michelle?
My takeaway from this is that this is a $2 billion a year industry that's run on self-reporting.
A good point. Mm-hmm.
I would love to just reiterate my concerns because I feel there's so many false understandings, belief perpetuated by people who are not intending to even do harm to one another, but that there is such great risk when you're talking about opioid overdose and the intersection with opioids and with all of the chemicals and adulterants that are in these products that our youth, especially our youth, and I want to name that, really are getting their hands on, are available to them, and that are really harmful. And looking through the National Kratom Association's website, there's nothing on here that talks about this is a treatment for addiction, a substitute for addiction treatment or care. But what I would like to see is, yes, because, NIDA and all these great researchers are putting a lot of hope and faith into this, that it would be something that would be taken on just like we've taken the seriousness of regulating of other treatments for substance use disorder and the risks that are involved with the loss of life. And I'm just really concerned about that.
Thank you. So we will continue this discussion. We will try to get more information. I will.
Joanne, can I just ask for a pause right there?
Mhm.
You know, I don't know if the board knows this. I mean, we recently had someone who, and I have their police report, that purchased product in one of our stores, one of these, 7, hydroxy, products, and overdosed. Our stores are saturated with these products that I feel, and I'm gonna say it again, because they're being sold in a store that's permitted and licensed by not only us, the health department, by the city, that they think that these products are innocuous and not going to harm them. And people are getting harmed by them. Our next meeting's not until September. I, as a public health professional, can't sit here in good faith and continue to allow these products to be sold, knowing what they can do. So I feel like just sitting and, until September and not coming back with next steps makes me really uncomfortable. I feel like we need to kind of flush this out a little more. Like, what are we going to do as a Board of Health or the DHHS in the meantime about these products?
Can I make a comment?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to cut you off. So yeah, I'm not sure if you're saying that you're really advocating for a ban or not. If we're assuming that you're not, that you're talking about regulation, because we certainly don't want to just leave it the way it is where they're legal. Then I'm wondering in terms of a policy, if we can, and you don't have to answer that, well, I mean, theoretically answer, wouldn't we limit it to where they could be sold in terms of things like maybe just in a pharmacy and behind the counter and with an age limit and all that? So, I mean, I don't know if that's even something that we would be considering, but I agree with you, Meredith, that we need to do something. So we're either doing that or we're talking about a ban, I believe. But, I'm not sure why, like a regular, like where people are permitted for food, like convenience stores, why we would ever even consider that. I want to think in terms of maybe it's a package store, maybe it's a pharmacy, maybe it's cannabis shops,
How about a tobacconist?
maybe it's that.
Amen plus.
I mean, I think that's the conversation we need to have if we're gonna talk about any kind of regulation.
And where I purchased the bulk of the products was at one of our tobacconist shops, and I asked, the person behind the counter who was selling them to me, why people buy these products. And he said, some people have anxiety and use it for medical purposes, but, admittedly said for recreational use. So again, I don't know, I'm just giving you the information that I have at my hands, at my fingertips, to help you make an informed decision on what to do next.
But your urgency, I hear your urgency, Meredith,
Yeah.
and there's no reason for us to wait till September. I
Mhm.
mean, we have this historical pattern of maybe a little looser in the summer, but I'm here, I'm available. If we want to rush something through, if we want to have another discussion, I won't say rush, but
Mhm.
tackle this in an informed way. Let's do it. Because it's a problem. It's really a problem.
Yeah.
I'm
And two
wondering if we
favorites-
could do this in 2 steps, perhaps. Have something that's more immediate, maybe an age restriction and a location restriction. And then we could take our time and decide on product restrictions or things like that we might want to do, or where we want to go from there. Michelle?
I would just advocate for limiting the availability so loosely, especially at the gas stations and, you know, places where it's often, I just want to say, Meredith, the innocuous statement is, you know, this is our youth that we're talking about as well as adults, and adults that can make an informed decision based on reviews and recommendations is not the thought process of our youth when they can easily grab something. And I think it is such a bad misperception that this product doesn't cause harm, especially when the product isn't even the product half the time it's being labeled as, or much more. So I would strongly advocate for it not being available as easily in that way.
I mean, yeah, even, you know, the products that Laura was talking about aren't even labeled properly. So for us to say, well, you can't have the synthetics because they do harm, us not knowing, you know, what one dose is of the good product, and I put that in quotation marks, I mean, still can do harm. You know, as well as I do, board members, that waiting for the state to do something, that could take a very long time. And it usually takes a lot of local communities to do something in order to move the needle at the state. And I do know other communities that are part of our public health excellence coalition also are talking about this. This is actually part of the work plan that we have FY25 and FY26 is to do something in a systematic, uniform way where we're all passing some type of regulation, whether it's prohibiting or restricting these products, because we're, you know, it's very hard playing whack-a-mole and keeping up with them. So I feel like, you know, why don't, and I'm just throwing that out there, like, why are we going to rely on someone else to tell us what's good and what's not? I mean, until the DEA or the FDA, you know, says, okay, these are approved products, why can't we just ask them to be, you know, regulate them so they're not on our shelves? It seems, I know there are some people who need them, but why do we just sit and wait until, you know, I don't understand, I guess is what I'm saying.
Are you thinking specifically about Kratom right now, Meredith, or all these other products that are out there, Delta 8 and everything else?
All of the above, Cynthia.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Suzanne, I'd love to hear your comments, but also your perspective as an addiction specialist.
I think it's just the beginning of scientific investigation into this. I think based on individual reports, there seems to be a lot of usefulness for it. And then there's information about severe adverse effects. But I think I think that we have three possible strategies. One is to limit the age. Another is to ban synthetics without any testing capability. I recognize, but ban synthetics as they appear to be the bad actors, or ban anything that has kratom on it. And I don't know what would come into the store that's actually kratom that's labeled something else. I mean, that's the situation we find ourselves in. I mean, it is whack-a-mole, but that's the world we live in. Is with money to be made, there's an incentive to put anything in a package and sell it. I just want to point out that supplements are not regulated by the FDA. You can go in and buy magnesium at 10 different stores and find out that half of them have no magnesium in it. One has a very high level, 4 have low levels. It's all self-reported. It's a self-reporting industry. So we live in this world where that's happening all around us. Our attention has been drawn to this one particular substance. but I don't know any other options that we have. Age restriction, ban synthetics, ban the product in general. If somebody else has some ideas, then I think Meredith, your experience as tobacconist just exemplifies why we have no stores where anybody has any expertise. There's no category of stores. So I don't think it's safe to put it in any particular type of store. It's all a big unknown.
What about the idea though of only putting it in pharmacies?
I don't think the Board of Pharmacy would allow that in a heartbeat.
Okay.
I'm thinking though, if we do want to age restrict, then a tobacconist makes more sense. It won't be in convenience stores. I mean,
Okay.
you could restrict it
Well-
location as well as by age.
Well, anybody who sells tobacco has to check age, 21 and older. But we have mechanisms to verify whether it's happening for tobacco products or not. And we have violations all the time.
And we would have to amend our tobacco regulations to allow them to sell other products than tobacco and tobacco paraphernalia.
I think if we're going to try to keep it out of the view of young people, it has to come out of the convenience stores. You know, gas stations.
Does the Springfield gas station weed policy, have you've seen that, right, Meredith? Does that seem like a good start?
Gas station drugs?
Yeah.
It does. Mhm.
What does
Well, they
that
banned-
policy say, Cynthia?
Well, they banned, they call it gas station weed, but you know, it's a pretty strict policy banning some of these synthetic products. They just passed it, in
At
Springfield.
convenience stores and gas stations?
Yeah, yeah.
Cynthia, did it
Yeah.
include anything other than the synthetic THCs?
No, it did not include, to my knowledge,
Yeah. I think so.
it did not include kratom. Yeah. And we have the Belchertown policy as well,
Mhm.
you know, which took a strong stand.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Can we
I'm just,
Salads too that are being
higher?
sold in gas stations and candy bars and all sorts of forms.
Can we go higher with the age? Can we say 25?
I'd like that.
it's just so interesting to me in the kratom discussion that I don't have a doubt that it's helping people. I don't want to, you know, challenge that lived experience, but you can get it online, you can get it cheaper. So that was just kind of interesting information. So why are we selling it?
Well, that's true of so many substances that people can get online. I mean, even the things that we've banned, whatever, they can get nitrous online.
Yeah.
But
So
it
the
might
vet-
be harder for a teen to get something online and sent to their house than it would be right now for them in Northampton to purchase it. But if there
Well-
was an age limit in Northampton, that could prevent that.
So, seems like we're a little bit all over the place, but maybe we have a consensus on limiting by age. Do we have a consensus on that?
Well, limiting what to where? That's the issue for me, because what is the value added of all this stuff? You know, so if we give it, so we have 3 tobacconists, is that what we're saying? Is that accurate, or 2?
I don't know how many we have right now.
2 or 3, I think.
They have no
So,
expertise.
yeah, right. So are we saying some of these products can go to those tobacconists only and then raise the age restriction there and get them off the shelves of the convenience stores? Is that sort of a general proposal? It's on the table?
It seems to me that that's a minimum that we would do. Any interest
And
starting with that?
Meredith,
max-
was it, and you tell me if I'm overstepping, but the overdose that happened, was it a young person?
Well, it was over 21.
Oh, it was somebody over 21.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I recall it was over 25, was it not? That case that we received a letter about.
Mhm.
And I think that's the other thing too, you know, we've heard from the advocates and supporters, but I think we also owe it to have a forum where we hear from the general public.
Meredith, I think that's what makes it difficult to move quickly on this.
I know.
It's a real balance. I don't know how to balance the risks and benefits of this substance. Kratom itself, not the synthetics, not the bad actors. I'm talking about the plant kratom, or the product that comes from the plant. We have, lots of anecdotal reports nationally, not only in our public comment periods, of people finding this to be a lifesaver, literal lifesaver, prevented them from committing suicide, that kind of lifesaver, versus some overdoses. We don't really know the circumstances. We don't know the other substances that might have been present. We don't know if it was synthetic or the plant itself. We just don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to balance that.
So can I just ask, from the board, do we all feel like we're on the same page when it comes to the synthetics, like prohibition of those? I mean, is that what we're feeling? Because if it was that, if we're just talking about allowing natural kratom and restricting that to where it can be sold and age restrictions, we could possibly treat it like we do with tobacco and nicotine, where we ask for a manufacturer's letter to prove that it's non-menthol and the milligram content of the product. So the manufacturers have to supply, and this is only in Massachusetts, I believe, the manufacturers have to supply that letter for all of the products that the store sells that states that it's not flavored and it's under the proper milligrams. So I'm just throwing that out there. So if we, in theory, prohibit all synthetic kratoms, but allow naturally occurring kratom under a certain milligram of that 7-OH, that the owner has to prove it to us. Because I'm thinking about us being out in the store. What does that look like?
Yeah, I think this, if you look at the criteria that the American Kratom Association has put out, those are the things that they recommend. Things like the manufacturer has to state what the ingredients are, how much of it is in there, what the proper dose should be. Like, those are the kinds of things that are make sense to me if we're not going to ban this substance. But there's that list, and in the states that have allowed it, that's the list of things that's in their laws, that kind of stuff.
But we don't know if the manufacturer, if that gets reviewed annually, or it's a one-shot deal letter.
How does it work with tobacco, Meredith? Is it just once, one product, one
Yeah,
letter?
so Marlboro Reds would have a letter confirming that it's non-menthol and it's a certain nicotine content. They only need that for Marlboro Red. So every product, but Newport non-menthol, one letter that goes with it. So every product has a manufacturer letter that's sold stating.
That's for individual localities or statewide?
That's the state law.
Right, that's the thing, that's what I was thinking. That type of effort requires the state and the capacity that's needed to track.
Well, if, sorry, Susan, I didn't mean to cut you off. If our vendors want to sell Kratom bad enough, then they'll, I don't know, maybe work with the manufacturer to get this letter. I have
We
no idea.
also don't have to allow 50 different products. We could say, we'll allow 10 products that that have all the proper information.
Can we, if we were to go ahead with this kind of thing, can we put something in there saying that we want to kind of reassess after a year or see if there've been some adverse effects that we need to rethink? I don't know.
I don't know what data we would monitor for that. I guess any known overdoses, but it's not generally something that's tested for. Is that correct, Suzanne?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Michelle? Oh, wait a second, you're muted. Hold on.
Thank you. My husband's mowing the lawn behind me, so but I wanted to say that there is an opportunity, and I was just emailing our epidemiologist to look at the overdose data to see if we do have any intersecting information where Kratom might have been listed, but again, it might be self-reported if it is involving a 911 call, and someone may have believed they were consuming Kratom and it wasn't Kratom. So I just was gonna say that there might be some opportunities to do some data analysis, and I'm gonna look into that. But generally speaking, it wouldn't be something that's verified with toxicology. So how valid that data is really for this decision making might be a moot point in that way.
I'd be surprised if that's available.
Would someone want to volunteer to talk to the Johns Hopkins researcher?
I don't know anything about this person. So that's why I wanted to see the references that were being discussed
Mm-hmm.
this evening. And look online to see what's available about these individuals. I don't know. I don't know them. I don't know what they do. I wouldn't want to go on the advice of just one.
I guess I'm feeling there's so little data on
Right.
the internet
Right.
that whether it's worth speaking to people who are actively doing research that's not yet published, or if there's information that people have that we can't find somehow. It's we're totally blind to.
If it's not published, then what value is it? I don't know how any of that information would change our options at this point.
So does someone want to make a proposal? Oh, Michelle, did you have another comment? Hold on. Go ahead. Hold on. You're still.
Oh, there we go. Got it. There's one other way to do some data assessment around Kratom being in the actual illicit drug supply. Brown University, Tapestry, our partners, and others do a drug checking program, and they'll use packaging. It's a really robust study and paraphernalia to be able to look for substances that are contained within illicit substances, and they do comparative analysis to what someone thinks it is, such as if it was cocaine but it was actually amphetamines, so on and so forth. And I do know, and I'm speaking off the cuff here, anecdotally, Kratom has been identified, or maybe these synthetics, in illicit drugs. So there is the possibility that, the drug supply could have some contaminants of Kratom. That's a completely different way of looking at this because it isn't about the selling of it. But it would be interesting, I think, for the Board of Health and especially Suzanne, maybe I can follow up with you on this to see how Kratom might be intersecting with the illicit drug supply would be interesting to know. And of that, is it synthetics? Is it not? So just another data point. It's
Well, if anyone's collecting that data,
Mm-hmm.
that would be the first question.
Yeah,
Are you testing routinely for kratom and
Mm.
7-hydroxy? I don't think people are. I mean, they're not even routinely testing for it in autopsies.
yeah, I know. It's a slippery slope too, because then it goes back to manufacturer and vendor, where was it? Procured, all that kind of thing. So, but there is data that is looking at the illicit drug supply and things like bug spray is found. Within, heroin due to the way packaging happens. And so just another thought there about data we could look into, but wouldn't influence you for this decision tonight.
You can be assured if it exists, it's in the drug supply. I'm not being facetious. We can't even imagine what crap's in there.
Does someone want to make a proposal?
Let me take a shot at this.
Okay.
I suggest that we have an age limit for sales. I suggest that we move it into tobacconists only, and that we ban synthetics. We'll figure out how to measure that later. Those are the problems. Those are the problem substances. We can't really measure them ourselves, or is anybody doing that? So how do we, at least we might get some of them off the shelves if that's part of our regulation.
Did you
Just-
say what age you're proposing?
I would say 21.
Any comments? Is there a second?
I
would be more
didn't know that was a
comfortable-
motion. I was just throwing out an idea.
That's not a motion.
No,
Okay.
I-
It's
no, I was just throwing out an
idea.
idea as a starting place.
Okay.
How do people feel about that?
So
Due to our-
Suzanne,
What we know
that's-
about brain development, I would want to, I'd want to look at 25.
Cynthia?
is this trajectory because as opposed to banning kratom, okay? Is this trajectory of restricting to tobacconists and raising the age an attempt to do what?
It's attempt to get the bad actors out of our supply. There seems to be agreement with proponents, and we seem to have this understanding that the synthetics are the problem. They are the very high dose substances leading to overdoses. They are the problem. So my concern is getting rid of them, or at least limiting them as much as we can. And as I said earlier, I have a difficult time balancing that with the life-saving properties that people testify this substance has. That it's hard. Okay, so if we ban it completely, then people commit suicide. I'm being dramatic, but I'm just saying that that's the type of serious issues that are on both sides of this discussion.
So the pure kratom, as described to us in the presentation, the pure powder from the highly reliable manufacturer, which we're still not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to determine that. That's just word of mouth.
Yeah, yeah. but that would be acceptable under this proposal.
I think the sale of natural kratom, natural kratom itself is far less dangerous. It is only a partial agonist. So natural kratom should not be the culprit in overdoses as a single agent.
Suzanne, I have a question for you. I know, I suspect that you have had patients who have been addicted to kratom. Someone mentioned that Narcan does not reverse kratom. Is that correct? Do you know?
It's my understanding it's not an opioid.
But yet it can be treated with,
Yeah, it responds to Suboxone. I would say that I have treated a couple of people who had dependency and found that they couldn't stop, which of course is one of the characteristics of addiction. But they were most concerned about being able to stop using a substance and wanted some assistance with that.
Michelle?
It absolutely has addictive properties to it, to reemphasize what Suzanne was saying. And we've had many reports by users that they went to use that as a bridge or as a substitute and found themselves addicted to kratom itself. But what I think is even more concerning, and Suzanne, you know this better than I could explain, is that the description of the severe depression that can come on over with the withdrawal symptoms is very commonly discussed by people who use drugs when you talk with them about their use of kratom. And I don't know what it is in the brain, and it could be the types of products and the synthetics, but people report feeling very, very suicidal, depressed. And I don't have research to cite, but I know for sure there is research that has shown now the plant and using it properly at the proper dose, that is a probably much different discussion, but knowing that people are using it and getting it anywhere and anything could be in it, those are symptoms that I've heard discussed.
So I kind of feel like I'm hearing two parts here. One, prohibiting the sale of synthetics, and then two, regulating the sale of the natural plant. And I think what we're talking about is, the sale of these products, like we would want ingredients listed on them, we'd want dosing requirements on them. And that's going to take some work for us to kind of flesh out what that regulation policy about the natural plant is. But if the board was comfortable with the prohibition, I feel like we could act very swiftly and smoothly on that to get all synthetic products out of all of our stores.
I actually think that's the harder thing, how to define the synthetics. And I don't think regulating the natural product is so difficult. I mean, a lot of these other states have this laundry list of the things that they require, dose, ingredients, that kind of stuff. Pretty straightforward, I think.
Okay.
So I think we could do it all together.
I think we're such a tiny market. I don't think these manufacturers are going to be responsive to that. It would be one thing if it were statewide. It's statewide in Utah, places like that. We're talking about a city of 29,000 people. I don't think people are going to jump through hoops for us. I think they'll just keep trying to sell it.
One more comment here is the Kratom Association, American Kratom Association lists it as finding brands with good manufacturing practices, GMPs, which would be like the list of natural product, non-synthetic, but just saying if there was language to be borrowed from or inspired by.
And that's
I still worry about the self-reporting nature of all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But that's also the same language that's been used in those states that have regulated it rather than banning it, like Utah and Colorado. It's basically language from that website.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it doesn't sway me.
I think it's better than nothing. You can never tell what's in something. It's just a claim by a manufacturer, but that's, as Suzanne pointed out, that's true of all supplements.
Yeah,
I just don't know who's going to do all of this monitoring and tracking and tracing.
Yeah.
Meredith?
Yeah, no, that's a big concern of mine, but we got to start somewhere.
Okay, you're the boss.
Well, so there are certain elements that are pretty easy. The name of the manufacturer, what they say are the contents, what the appropriate dosing is, that it's not more than 2%. Like, that's all on the package. If it's not there on the package, it goes out. It's not for sale. So, I mean, I think there's some very basic things that we can implement easily. Like, we're not going to be able to test these products. I'm going to look at the Utah Department of Agriculture website and see if they have, information on products that they've tested. Or, I mean, I guess we could see what products are in our stores, throw out the ones that are synthetics, and check the other ones for websites to see if they list testing. I mean, it's pretty self-reported, but it's better than nothing, I think. Anybody else?
how do we fast track this?
Well, someone would need to make a motion. And we don't have to have the exact language, but we could, if someone made a motion and the motion passed, we could ask Meredith to draw up and Scott to draw up a draft, and we could have a meeting just dedicated to that alone. Would we need to have a forum or a hearing, Meredith?
The only time we ever have to have a hearing is if it's Title V. So the answer to the question is no, but it's usually our standard of practice that we do have a hearing.
That would certainly provide an opportunity for those who would like us to take a firmer stance on this substance to make their opinions known. I'm talking about people who would like to ban it, who have grave concerns.
I don't know if a forum means, or a public hearing means, people then will get more than 2 minutes, but certainly the doctor who spoke at the beginning was very clear that she would like an opportunity to do that. And I think we need to give her that.
At a forum, Meredith, correct me if I'm wrong, at a forum, we can choose to limit, I mean, we have to limit the amount of time, because just for basic running of a meeting, but we are allowed to have a back and forth.
Yes.
Not that very formal structure that we have for public comment.
Mm-hmm.
So there can be back and forth and discussion and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So we had originally said if there was nothing urgent that we would not meet again until September. Our regular meeting date would be the third Thursday of the month would be August 21st. Do you want to keep that?
I can do it.
I'm sorry, which day did you say?
August 21st would have been our regularly scheduled meeting.
I could do it.
Meredith?
I could do it. I might be in another location, but I'll make myself available.
Janet?
I can do it.
So is there a consensus that we want to, well, we should probably have um, a proposal on the table, something, a draft of something that we would then discuss at a forum.
The forum wouldn't be on August 21st, correct?
It would. I mean, if we want to move this along.
We wouldn't have even seen the draft before then, nor would anyone else.
So that's why I was kind of separating the two, having a prohibition on all synthetic substances, whether it's THC or kratom. We just prohibit those right off. And then have a regulation about kratom and what that looks like.
I
That's
see.
I think it would be the only way to fast track that, because we really kind of want to put some thought into a regulation about natural kratom, who can sell at what age, where, so on and so forth, where the prohibition is really, really simple. It's one sentence. The City of Northampton Board of Health prohibits the sale of all synthetic mind-altering drugs or substances, whatever that looks like. So we don't need a draft regulation for that. I mean, it can be quick and dirty.
Oh, and we have the authority to do that, Meredith?
We do.
And this broad, this one sentence, would that include Delta 8 and all these other things we've been talking about?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand what we're proposing here.
So if you saw the draft regulation that Cheryl Sabara sent for Delta 8 and Delta 10, they
Yep.
were all kinds of definitions, but then there's basically a sentence.
One
that
sentence.
these drugs, including but not limited to, we would say Delta 8, Delta 10, synthetic kratom are banned. Does that sound right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
banned in tobacconists as well?
Banned in the city
Banned,
or the town.
Banned in the
Yeah.
city.
Mhm.
Does someone want to make a motion?
Move to create a draft regulation banning the sale of synthetic mind-altering substances. At this point, we're principally talking about the synthetic cannabinoids and kratom, to ban the sale in the city.
Second,
Any further discussion?
Just want to, Suzanne, you said to move to regulation. I think, I'm not sure this is a regulation. It's a,
I
It
thought
said
a ban is a
create
regulation.
a draft regulation.
It's a draft regulation.
I just want to make sure I understand, as opposed to the sentence that Meredith talked about banning immediately mind-altering products. Is that sentence the same thing as a regulation?
Did you say immediately, Meredith?
No, but I'm shaking my head. So it is a regulation. This one sentence that Suzanne proposed would be a regulation of the Board of Health.
Okay,
But may I also add, because I'm just reading the Belchertown one, which is based off the model that Cheryl gave.
Yep.
That one sentence says, no person shall manufacture, distribute, or sell the synthetically derived cannabinoids, including the deltas, and it speaks to that, and kratom. So I think distribute is an important word there as well.
Mhm.
That's
So
the
you
type,
have,
that's the type of language that's in the draft regulations that the legislatures review.
so, but ours would say specifically synthetics.
and just to
So-
clarify this immediacy thing,
So the proposal that Motion that Suzanne made was to create a draft. Are we creating a draft or are we creating a regulation?
A draft regulation?
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Suzanne, there was Meredith proposed using the language that's in the Belchertown regulation. Do you want to use that?
I agree to that, yes.
Okay. That was a
Amend
friendly
my
amendment.
motion, please.
Friendly amendment. Do I hear a second for the friendly amendment? Using the Belchertown language?
I second it with but my understanding is that that's using the word synthetic, right? Yeah.
Right. But includes manufacturer, sale, distribution.
Right.
Mhm. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor of the move to create a draft regulation banning the sale of synthetic mind-altering substance such as, but not limited to, synthetic cannabinoids and synthetic kratom, using the language outlined in the Belchertown regulation. All in favor? Suzanne?
Yes,
Janet?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Joanne? Yes. So, Meredith, are you comfortable drafting something? It's just based on the model regs and Belchertown's regs. And then are we planning to have a forum on August 21st? Seems like everyone can be available. Maybe not so happy to be doing this during the summer, but if we want to move it along, that seems to be the date.
I think it should be made clear to people that they can send written comments in if they're out of town or something like that. They don't have to appear in public. I think that needs to be clear.
So, okay, so we're having a forum about the draft regulation, the prohibition, distribution, selling of these synthetic products. That's what we're having a forum on? Or is the forum about naturally occurring kratom and hearing from people on that? Like,
Can we do both?
I feel like we're firm on where we want to go with the synthetics, and if that is the case, then we just have a hearing.
I'm sorry, I thought we were talking about the draft regulation. How did that get to a hearing?
Well,
Sorry, I didn't mean to stump you.
yeah, you did.
Well, I thought we had actually been very efficient
Mhm.
in merging a regulation about synthetic cannabinoids and synthetic kratom
Mhm.
into one ban. And
Yeah.
if it were banned, it had to be a regulation.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is a hearing about that draft regulation, correct?
So a hearing is more formal,
Mhm.
so there's no back and forth.
Mhm. I guess what I'm saying is, do you want to have open dialogue, conversation with the general public in regards to synthetically derived mind-altering substances?
I
No.
don't.
Right.
But we do want to move along the discussion about kratom, the plant, about age limits and where it can be sold. Can we not combine those two ideas?
I think you could, but I think just to keep things clean, we could move this draft regulation and hold a hearing in August. And then in September, we could broaden it and have a public forum about the rest of the stuff. If that
I
makes
think
sense.
that makes sense to do it that way.
So the thing we wanted to fast track is getting rid of the synthetics. And by meeting on August 21st with a hearing, we can fast track that.
Yes,
And then take our time to talk about the natural kratom, age limit, and
yes.
location of
Mhm.
cities.
Search, have a
Mm.
chance to talk to some of these other, maybe people at Johns Hopkins or, University of Florida, or get their reports.
Okay, so
Did
we've
we-
had a vote.
Did we vote?
We did vote, and it
Okay,
passed.
sorry, missed the whole thing.
It was I'll just repeat in general, the motion was to ban the sale of synthetic mind altering substance such as synthetic cannabinoids and synthetic kratom using the language in the Belchertown regulation as a model. And on August 21st, we will review, we'll have a hearing, which is, Meredith, is a more formal procedure.
Mhm.
There's no back and forth. This is people can speak on a particular subject. And then we close the hearing, and then we have a board meeting that will be dedicated just to that. And where we look at the draft regulation and decide if we want to edit it or pass it or what we want to do. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, we have a plan. Excellent.
So I need to request, it's 7:45 and I'm in somebody else's home because of my internet situation. So I don't know if I can request that we table some of the other stuff, or if I should just say I need to leave, and knowing that there might not be a vote on anything else that I need to.
The only thing we'd really need a vote on are the minutes. Should we do the minutes now, get your vote, and then we can say goodnight to you if you feel like you need to leave?
Yeah,
And
Okay.
so does that mean you're still going to continue with the meeting, Joanne? If
Um,
Janet leaves?
Well, we've already taken up the discussion of synthetic marijuana. We've taken care of that. It was some updates from the DHHS and a little discussion of the role of the Board of Health and Department of Health in health education in this political climate. I'm not sure we're going to have any easy answers for that one either. I guess I would continue. Janet,
That's
you want to come to my house?
Maybe I could just kind of get a synopsis from Cindy at some point after the meeting of anything I missed.
Assuming that I'm staying, okay.
Oh, well, only because, yeah, I'm sorry. If you're staying or
Yeah,
from
no,
somebody.
no worries, no worries. I just might move around a little bit.
Let me just bring up the minutes. Let's see if I can share. Where's the button?
Oh, I guess what I was thinking of looking at the agenda is if somebody would just tell me some of the other updates, and maybe it's Meredith, the 2-year anniversary, stuff like that. If I can just get that before the minutes come out.
Here are the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Any comments, edits?
Are the red comments yours, Joanne?
Yes, the red comments
Yeah.
are mine.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. See you.
Any comments?
I have a comment about, and I probably did not make this clear. about my saying it's legal in 44 states, that is a difficult statement to define.
Well, it's not illegal. Is that better?
It is not illegal. That's the statement, right? There are some states where it is legal. 6 of them, I believe. No, 4 of them.
Mhm.
And 6 where it's illegal. But it is not illegal in Massachusetts.
Okay, so I made that change. Anything else?
Um, and you may need to be, and there are concerns around safety.
You want me to change that to and?
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
I didn't know, Joanne, in your edit to that last sentence, does that need to actually have another R? So it says guidelines for manufacturers? Or is that me being overly something?
Oh, fracturers, yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
Right.
That was the only thing I found.
Anybody else? Would someone like to make a motion?
Move to approve the minutes as amended.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor? Suzanne?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Cynthia?
yes.
Joanne? Yes. Thank you.
Okay, Janet, before you go, Chair, can I have 1 minute just so I can
Yes.
spew some dates out? Okay, great. Thank you. First, I want to let you know that the nitrous oxide regulation went into effect in June. Our inspectors went to the stores. We didn't find any on the shelves, which is fantastic. I also want to make note that after our budget meeting, someone from the public asked to speak to me, and it was a mother who thanked us very much for taking action on this because her son had a problem with nitrous oxide, who thought it was just this harmless, recreational, substance that he could never get addicted to or harm from. So she never thought, writing an email would have an actionable step from any municipal body, and was so grateful. And so I just want to thank you, and we're doing great with that. August 28th is Northampton Overdose Awareness Vigil from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Forbes Library lawn. They're putting up a new outdoor stage. It should be done in the next week or so. It's going to be beautiful, but we held our vigil there for the first time last year. And leading up to it, people can, Northampton residents and businesses are invited to light Northampton up in the color purple, which signifies overdose. I also want to, I'm trying to get my notes. September 26th, we're celebrating the 2-year anniversary of the opening of the DCC. September 5th was the first day that we were operational, September 5th, 2023. So we have a committee putting together a nice little celebration where we're going to talk about the impacts that we've had in the 2 years, celebrate our team, celebrate the community. It'll be a nice day, and I'm hoping that all of the board members could be there if your calendars allow for it. And I think
Time, Meredith?
I don't have a time yet. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Thanks.
We're going to have a save the date email postcard coming out soon enough, but we haven't nailed that down yet. And Janet, I think that's all. So you need to go get cool somewhere. I'm sorry. We kept you so long.
No,
to
it's
get your
just that I'm
text.
in,
I know.
yeah.
So is there anything else urgent that we need to discuss tonight? We're over time anyway. Do you want to give your other updates in
So
September?
I'm gonna sign off. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
see
It's
you.
good to see everybody.
Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Janet.
Enjoy the warmth.
Well,
Okay.
I think our agenda item around the Board of Health and health education is a really big conversation, and I'd hate to rush it. And I'm feeling like we're all a little bit hot and tired. So if we can put that on a future agenda, maybe September, that
Mhm.
would be great.
Yep. Is there anything else urgent?
No, not that I can think of, Joanne.
Okay. So, could you remind us again about the hearing? It's a more formal process. There's no back and forth. Is there a particular time limit per person?
So, right, we'll allow public comment, and we do have a policy that the board set, I don't know how many years ago, that public comment is only 2 minutes. And it will happen before we open up the hearing. And I'm not sure if we actually set an amount of time for public comment.
For the hearing?
Huh?
You mean for the hearing?
No. Like, some boards and commissions allow 2 or 3 minutes per speaker, but only allow an hour's worth of public comment. I'm not sure. I'd have to bring that policy back up and see if we ever did that. But
I don't think
anyways.
we did that.
Mhm.
But from our forum that we were at with Cheryl Sabara, she said it's the chair can choose what the.
Okay. Mhm.
And if I
Um,
can, if I can
forum.
just bring up also on that issue that school committee and city council have an accommodation. That if an individual needs an accommodation for a longer period of time, that's granted, but I do not know the structure of that or how long they can have.
Meredith, is there a particular format for the hearing?
I don't understand the question.
So it's the same as public comment?
Yeah.
Just within-
Yeah, public comment, close it, open up the hearing, make a motion, and then deliberate, and then vote.
So we can have general public comment, open the meeting, open a forum,
Hearing.
close the hearing, close the
Mhm.
hearing, be back in the board meeting, and then have discussion and vote if we want to.
Mm-hmm.
Any
We have
questions?
to vote either to approve, not approve, or table it to a future meeting.
Mhm.
Sorry to keep bringing this up, but there are other committees that the public can ask for an accommodation for a longer period of time. So I don't know if that's something we want to do or not.
I think we
Um,
should post that on our agenda, that they could request that via email or call us ahead of time. What do you think of that, Cynthia?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how city council and school committee does it, but I know the person gets up and they say, I want an accommodation. So I don't, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we can
It'd be
check with
nice
them.
if we had a
And they
city
get
policy around that for all of our boards and commissions.
Yeah,
It'd be a nice
definitely.
thing for the Human Rights Commission to take up,
That
And they
great
get 6
idea.
minutes, right?
isn't it?
Great idea.
If Shelley said that if they ask for an accommodation, they get 6 minutes.
Who said that?
Dr. Berkowitz. In her.
Oh, for city council?
For city council and school committee.
Okay.
So, do you have that policy, Meredith? We did write a policy about this.
You did, yeah.
So maybe we can look at it, amend it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anything else before we close? Would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to close. Thrown to you, Cynthia.
Second it, because I love you doing all the first emotions.
You're so good at it. Any discussion? All in favor? Suzanne?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Joanne? Yes. Good work, team. Thank you so
Yeah.
much
Thank you,
for
staff, for being
persevering.
here.
A lot of hard
Before you
work.
adjourn, I just want to thank all of you. I know this was tough and it was fast. I'm so appreciative of your support and hearing, both sides and what we're seeing on the ground. I'm grateful to have such a supportive board. So thank you.
And Meredith, never hesitate to tell us when it's urgent.
Okay.
Never.
Duly noted.
Meredith, can I second your motion there of creation of the Board of Health?
DHHS staff, can I have a vote?
It was so lovely to see you all tonight. I have missed you dearly, and thank you for your beautiful card and sentiments, and I can't wait to see you in person. I'm back in the
We're so
office.
happy to see you, and we appreciate all of
Absolutely.
you and the staff, Scott, Meredith, Kelly. Just a great team. Kelly, and Kelly.
Great to see you,
So-
Michelle.
Yes, thank you all.
You too. All right,
you.
take care.
Night.
Bye,
Have a great
everybody.
night.
Bye-bye.
Be well.